Let's go to tax expert Narendra, who joins me live via Skype. Narendra, what are the important measures announced by the Reserve Bank of India to ease the economic distress? If we have to, begin our conversation with this.
See, very happy that before the briefing, you are asked, what is the wish list for the second announcement, and very clearly he has addressed the same plus more. Nobody could have asked for better, because the first one was announced with reduction in repo rate, maximum extent to 4.4, and then he found that the position we're having a lot of issues in terms of bank transmitting that reduction or lending in this critical stage. So the best thing was like what we discussed before the presser, that whether there'll be a direct involvement of RBI and whether he'll come to the aid of NBFCs, HFCs, and the MFIs, which he has very clearly done, and with the same institutions like SPV, with SIDBI, with NABARD, and with NHB. That is wonderful thing to have happened, where he has allocated, he has called this as the LTRO2, so 2.0. The first one was to the banks to subscribe to the bonds of corporates, but they were rated. So there was a problem because they will go to specialized institution, which the governor very clearly told during the last 15-20 days, where such funding has gone only to very good corporates and banks or to the institutions, and they have purchased bonds of the government itself. So technically it has not gone to the market. So he has understood, the RBI has very clearly understood where the shoe pinches. So he has come to the aid specifically to NBFCs, housing finance companies, and the microfinance institutions, where allocated another $500 billion, 50,000 crore. And there also have made further allocation like SIDBI 15,000, NHB 10,000 crore, and NABARD 25,000 crore. And most important is these allocation have been done in consultation with the heads of those institutions, SIDBI, NABARD, and NHB, and they'll be charged only the repo rate. The repo rate as of today is 4.4, which is perhaps the best rate where they can get refinance. And such refinance without funds, they will further give, that is the NHB, the SIDBI, and the NABARD will give to their borrowers, that is the housing finance borrowers or to the housing finance companies and to sub-agriculture institutions, where they will get with maybe very marginal loading and they will get refinance. And such refinance, please note, unlike banks, are back-to-back lending. Please understand that it will be, for example, if the 10-year loan given to the borrower, the refinance also will be to the 10-year. So there will be absolutely no mismatch. The ALM asset liability mismatch will not be there. So
in addition to what you are saying, the reverse repo rate also has been reduced by 25 basis point to 3.75%, of course, to allow banks to use surplus from the system. So here as well, some sort of breather for the common man.
Absolutely, because that reduction in reverse repo rate is for a different reason, that is to desist banks from placing funds with the RBI. See, banks took a safe route. So instead of lending in this critical market and doing the credit assessment and getting the risk involved, and for the risk kind of the lending scenario where we cannot lend, and in the depressed market sentiments where consumption is low, investment is low, the whole economy has come to a grinding halt, there's a total destruction of demand and total devastation of consumption. So in this scenario, what the commercial banks were doing, they were placing the excess money, that what he has very clearly told, around 3.5 trillion, with the RBI at 4%, whatever it is. So the RBI told, I will give you less if you place here. Instead of that, go and lend. Lend is the mantra of the RBI. But he found out that banks are not lending to NBFCs, banks are not lending or purchasing the bonds or the CPs of the corporates or the NBFCs because they're a little scared and they're risk averse. So what RBI did very intelligently is, let me directly come. Without amending the section 18, let me take a special purpose route of involving SIDBI, the appropriate sectors. For agriculture, it is NABARD. For SMEs, it is SIDBI. For housing finance and MFIs, it is NHB. So involve these three as a special purpose vehicle. Give them directly and call it as LTRO2. So, and it is LTRO2, they get 50,000 crore allocation of 20, 25 and 15. In turn, they will lend to their beneficiaries like the housing finance companies, SMMEs, which have taken just a beating, were very difficult for them to come out, and then help them that to come out of this liquidity issue. Back-to-back lending, no asset liability mismatch, and at a very little top up than the repo rate of 4.4% or whatever it is. So the lending rate will be around 5%, which is extremely good. This is from the funds angle. Then subsequently, like what we were discussing earlier, they are again on the asset reclassification, they have come to a wonderful conclusion and given a direction that during that moratorium period, the clock should be freezed. Like what we were discussing in the last program, that the clock is freezed. That means it will not add to their NPAs. So the 30 days or whatever days, from March to that June, that will be freezed, and it will not add to their NPA days at all. So they will not have to worry about the asset classification, and they will not be worried about the rating agencies. They will not be able to credit agencies like CIBIL and others. They will not be affected at all. So that is one more thing. Third is the real estate. Broadly, I am taking. So real estate had a serious issues because about the moratorium issue. Similarly, NBFC side. So all these problems, what have been discussed, debated, and represented by the NBFC Association, by the SFC Association, by the Confederation of Industries and Commerce, every aspect has been addressed by the RBI, which has to be highly appreciable, because this is the time when unprecedented decisions have to come out of the box when you are facing with unprecedented devastation of COVID. So where not only 1 year extension has been given to real estate, another 1 year has been given for banks for recognizing such real estate exposure. In effect, you have 2 years. So the borrowers also will be benefited, that is the builders, and the banks will also be not hit. And this is very important because technically it doesn't involve money. It's a book adjustment. At the same time, comfort level. So he has come to the rescue of the banks, the NBFCs, the small finance institutions, the microfinance institutions, agriculture, APMC and other institutions will borrow from SIDBI and NABARD, and more important, the real estate, and it helped the banks for understanding the asset classification issue and the bottom line, so that he has given some relaxation. So all the aspects have been taken care of post the first announcement.
Right, Narendra, if we have to talk about the recovery graph now, what's the recovery graph India is looking at? Is it L shape, V shape, or U shape? Of course, as per RBI governor, it's a V shaped graph that India is staring at.
See, my sense is, my assessment is, I beg to differ that it cannot be a V-shaped curve, because it is based on arithmetic assessment. It can be V-shaped, but from what we are seeing at the ground level, it will definitely be a prolonged U. It cannot be V. V-shaped happens when it is like a plug and socket system where you switch on and then the whole economy starts on running and up and kicking. But here what is happening is the 28 days, then you have further lock-in 40 days. So after 41 days, when you open the economy, number one, we should be very careful in understanding that this has affected the whole humanity globally and locally. And each one at different levels. So you cannot say at the end of May 2nd or May 11th or whatever it is, that we will be very clean and there will be absolutely no problem in COVID instances and all will be happy and gay. No, it cannot happen like that, because there are 60% down in MSMEs and all the production has come to a grinding halt, and labor have gone back to their original places, far-flung places. So you will have labor problem, you will have economic problem, you will have consumer sentiments which will definitely hit terribly, and second, entire discretionary spending will come to a halt. Nobody would like to spend unnecessarily. So we'll have a terrible effect on consumption, terrible effect on investment, private investment, and third, to pep up the economy from already the subdued market which we experienced in India, especially with the 5%, sub 5% GDP before the onset of this devastation of COVID. We had a terribly low GDP setup. So we were just coming out of these issues, and RBI and government were coming out to certain other programs when we landed into this COVID issue. So already we are submerged in problem. So V-shaped curve cannot happen with such a kind of problems at different levels, and all sectors have been affected, from aviation, which takes 60% hit, then the tourism, then the restaurant, then the consumption level, then the fast moving goods, then the housing, real estate sector, pharma sector, every sector if you analyze, there's a 80% hit which contributes to the GDP. And agriculture, we have a buffer stock, then Kharif season is there, harvest season is there. The only silver lining thing is that the IMD projection that there will be near 100% rainfall this year. Apart from that, then even if you have arithmetic very clearly, but the point is logistics. There is shortage of fertilizers. If not the fertilizer, how do you transport the fertilizers? Where will you get the rural labor now who have already gone to their places? What about the migrant laborers issue? How will you get the laborers for doing the harvesting or for the sowing and then or for transporting the goods to markets where the farmers get a correct price? So you have a humongous issue. So V-shaped recovery curve can at best be a wishful thinking and a prayer, but definitely it will be a prolonged U-curve recovery, according to me. Not only now, right from when the new governor has taken over, from 1 year, they have reduced the reserve repo rate from 135 beeps, continuously goading and then requesting the banks to go and lend to corporates so that there will be an economic pepper. But such a thing never happened because the banks were reluctant to lend because they are worried about certain other, humongous NPS what they are sitting, which is almost likely to touch around 10 lakh crore this year. So they are having their own twin balance sheet issues. But subsequently, when COVID came, even before the first announcement of whatever Nirmala Sitharaman did regarding the extension of certain deadlines, the first one, immediately the governor came and then announced a set of measures. That means they are feeling the pulse of what are the issues. That is very critical. So it is not an armchair philosophy what Mr. Shaktikant Das and his team is doing. They have understood the country very well, the economic issues very well, where are the shoe bites, and then they tried to reduce the rates and they gave a moratorium and they gave certain concessions and they also helped the banks to have more liquidity issue because earlier the clamor was that we do not have a liquidity. Then immediately RBI stepped up, then they went into open market operation, then they went into purchase of bond. So they are doing every instrument they are using that possible. I think this is the time where last 2 years the RBI is acting at a very fast speed and almost real-time decisions have been taken in either purchase of OMOs, dealing with liquidity, system liquidity, and they have ensured that there is not a single day where there is a liquidity crisis. In fact, the data what he has given, you have found there was a 4.5 lakh crore excess liquidity in the system which has gone back. That is the reason why he reduced the rate so that banks will be disincentivized to deposit with them and in turn go to the market and lend. Because bankers were not doing, so he has understood that NBFCs, which is a virtual, they are the link between the other kind of a lending because they are the people who are lending for sub 3 grade rating. Because LTRO attracts the highest rating so that the best of the corporates will get the benefit at that reduced rate. But who should take care of MSMEs or the not graded corporates or the small institutions or firms who are in dire need of funds? So who should lend when bankers are not lending?
Just quickly a follow-up question. When you compare India with various other countries, given the fact that this crisis has hit hard the entire globe, are we doing well?
According to me, we are doing very well. Number one, we have found that once the China had the whatever initiated with the bug, subsequently we have seen what happened in France, what happened in Italy. We have seen the disastrous effects of super countries, with superpowers and technological advancement, medical advancement like US, which are languishing like anything, and death rates are increasing, like in geometric progression. And when it comes to government, we have to appreciate that and we have to also understand that unlike other countries, we have a complex culture, diversity of culture and various sectors, organized sector, unorganized sector, informal sector, cash economy, 40-50 crores depending on labor, informal and formal. Such being the scenario, dealing with 130 crore population with this kind of a pandemic, which is spreading, it can spread very violently. Such a thing has been very curtailed very well by taking very tough measures like the lockdown effect and then sensitizing to hotspot and taking remedial steps, preempting certain things, though it can be hard to deal with such a kind of epidemic in our country. And the only thing is that regarding the tests, where that also now they have got the lakhs together, kits have been imported now, and testing, the next priority I think will be for the testing, where we go for the most rapid test place so that we also deal with those issues in a preemptive fashion so that the society spreading will be curtailed to the most minimum. And third, the FM also came in the last time, and then they have given certain concession from the GST angle, from the MSME angle, and the more important was her priority or the government priority was to food, because survival, life is first, survival is first, and then subsequent livelihood and life and good life. So that is what the first announcements came, where the subsidy issue was sorted out, where the 10 kg mean, and then the dhal and other things, and the cash remittance of 500 rupees happened to 380 million. The Jan Dhan Yojana. Dealing with this country is a very humongous task. Now, according to me, post RBI, I think today or tomorrow, the FM will also come with a 2.0. So you see, they are working in tandem. So there is no dislocation, there is no detraction, and both the government and the RBI are working in tandem and are understanding the issues of the plethora of issues of this country and economy. And the moment now the RBI government has come with 2.0 RBI announcements and dealing with all these sections which are not addressed, NBFCs, MFIs, and HFCs, and the moratorium issue and the real estate. Now you will see the FM coming out with certain other measures which will be more focused, and then it will be very pointed towards MSMEs and then the banks, and where they will talk about how to fund these MSMEs and in what capacity at what rate.